This is the story of Ahylea Willard. She was a 32-year-old woman who had her own business, who was brutally murdered after visiting friends in the 7100 block of Snow Lane in North Carolina. North Carolina is known for its arts and culture, being a pioneer in aviation and beautiful state parks with massive mountains. This southern state features friendly people, delicious food, and charming nature. So the death of Ahylea has left both her parents just searching for answers. Ahylea dad said she was his only child and all he wants is justice. This is a brief statement of what they both had to say.
It's beyond a heart hurt. It's your soul.
I just want justice for my daughter, my only daughter. I just cared so much about, and
Ahylea life was taken too soon. She was an entrepreneur. She was a college graduate, and she was loved by family and friends. On the day of her shooting, her mother was the last person to speak with her. According to police reports, she was robbed and shot while she was visiting some friends on the 7100 block of Snow Lane in North Carolina. Police reports said the motive for the killing was robbery and they do have a suspect in custody. Now, when some of the residents came out and they saw her, they saw all this jewelry on her, and they started to talk amongst themselves about taking her jewelry. Instead of calling 911 to report that it was a lifeless woman by the dumpster who appears to be dead, they started to discuss how they're going to take her jewelry. And those were crucial moments in my mind because it could have been the difference between, it could have mean the difference between life or death. Let's say she had 1 ounce of breath still left in her. That call that they could have put in earlier to 911 could have saved her. So the bad part is they did not only rob her of her jewelry, they recorded it and put it on Facebook Live. So I'm wondering now if the police department is going to follow up and arrest any of these residents who robbed her and put her dead body on Facebook Live, and also the discussion that they were having about stealing from her. So Ahylea's body was found at around 11 a.m., although she may have actually been killed overnight. The victim was shot in the neck and lay dead near a wooded area of an apartment complex. So essentially, she bled out because if she was shot overnight and she was found around 11 in the morning, that's a long time for her to bleed to death. So according to the police reports, it appears as if she was robbed. She was initially found dead by nearby bystanders, but when paramedics arrived, the woman's gold designer belt was missing along with her jewelry. You've got to be so lacking in judgment that you are bordering on depraved indifference to human life. But this is the society we're living in today, folks, that people do not have any empathy or sympathy. You want to say that they're almost lacking in human bonding. So these residents put it on Facebook Live that they're going to rob her, they're going to steal her jewelry, and they delayed calling 911 while they discuss all this stuff, what they're going to be doing. But it reminds me of, I think in the 80s, when people were committing suicide off bridges and people would not try to talk them down. They would tell them to jump, go ahead and jump. That's the type of society, the really twisted minded society that we're living in today. And it has gotten worse with the internet because people are actually videotaping crimes instead of calling the cops or calling for help for that person or dialing the EMT, EMS, paramedics. They prefer to stand there and videotape the crime and put it on their Facebook page or Instagram page for likes and clicks and views instead of trying to save a human life. That's the type of society we're living in. And I hate to really fathom and think what it's going to be 20 years from now. I can't even imagine the injustice that society is going to perpetrate on its fellow human citizens. Ahylea Willard was born September 2nd, 1990, in Ashboro. She went to high school there, the Eastern Randolph High School, from 2004 to 2008. She also graduated community college, and she went on to start her own business. She started a nail business, a hair business, as well as a clothing business. And they all came under the banner of Leah's Luxuries. She was simply known as Leah by family and friends. Everyone spoke very highly of her. A day before the incident, her mother said she had an urge to call her to make sure that she was all right. And I guess some people can call it a premonition, but when she called her and spoke with her, she told her to be safe. And Leah told her mom she was at dinner. Here's the video audio of what the mother had to say.
When she answered the phone, I said, "Hey, baby girl, what you doing?" She said, "I'm out eating." And I said, "Well, I don't want to bother you, but I just want to tell you I love you, and please be safe out there." And that was the last time I heard from her.
So when Ahylea told her mom that she was at dinner, I'm sure her mother probably assumed that she was at a restaurant. But indeed, she was at friend's house having dinner. So there was a report out that perhaps the person who killed her wanted her valuables, but she had her jewelry on her. If the person wanted valuables, they would have taken her jewelry. So the perpetrator shot her and left her body by a dumpster. Now, the report does not say if the person took her car or not. A lot of times, the killer is a person the victim knows. So she was discovered by some of the residents by the dumpster, but they did not call the police right away. They decided to go on Facebook Live and then proceeded to discuss her jewelry, that they were going to steal her jewelry. So as they were discussing divvying up this jewelry amongst themselves, this was all being videotaped for their Instagram pages. And one person was even heard saying that he was going to go get some gloves and take her jewelry off her wrist. Here's the footage.
I'm going to get some gloves. I'm coming back to get them watches. I'm going to get some gloves, man. I'm going to get some gloves. I'm coming back to get them watches. I'm going to get some gloves, man.
So you can clearly hear him saying he's going to get some gloves. He's coming back and get the watch. And other onlookers were chiming in. It was clear that they were all going to rob her. And that's some beautiful jewelry, etc. And they're just talking amongst themselves like if this person is not presumably dead, because she was pronounced dead at the scene. So even if they could not save her by calling the EMT, EMS, paramedics, at least they could have put in that call early on. But they were not kidding about taking her jewelry, because when the police arrived at the scene, her jewelry was gone. But how tragic is this story on every level, that even her corpse they would steal from. So this happened the same day that she went to dinner at the apartment with these so-called friends, which was October the 23rd of this year. She was, however, robbed by residents later on after the shooting. When officers arrived, she was pronounced dead at the scene with a gunshot wound to her neck. And of course, the residents were not there, the ones who stole from her. The investigation is still going on, but it appears to be such a senseless killing of such a young, vibrant young woman with so much promise. Her parents are currently looking for answers as to why she was murdered after visiting friends and if they had any involvement. So according to WBTV, on your side, Taekwon Parker was charged with the murder of Ahylea Willard. His charges stem from the October 23rd shooting death of Ahylea Willard, on Snow Lane. The Mecklenburg Police Department in Charlotte said the 27-year-old Taekwon Parker was apprehended on Monday on outstanding warrants, charging him with murder, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and possession of a firearm by a felon. So currently they do have a suspect. He is in jail awaiting his day in court, and at least it's bringing some type of closure to this senseless killing, and her family can realize some type of justice for her during the trial. The police department said in their report that it was robbery motivated. So the police investigators said although they have a suspect in custody, they're still looking into the case and is active and ongoing. The case is active and ongoing, and anyone with information is asked to call 704-432-TIPS and speak directly to a homicide unit detective. YouTubers, I'm over and out. Hit the subscribe button if you have not done so already. Thank you for watching.